One of my favorite things in the world to do is watch Friends. I know it's been off for years and years. It's not even around, but I still find myself binge watching old episodes. And I was thinking about this today and thinking, it's the predictability of the friends in the circle, right? You have Chandler with his quirkiness, Monica with her type A of just everything has to be so neat and tidy and organized. It's Phoebe's ability to make you laugh at her silly songs. Ross always comes in with those smart comments, and Joey and him and his food, like it is just so hilarious. And of course, Rachel, she just brings everybody together, and it's just such this beautiful, cohesive team of people. And it's why I wanted to come on and share with you today that I have an opportunity for you to find your friends in the content creation space. So if you are thinking about creating your first or your next digital course, I don't want you to miss this opportunity because Amy Porterfield just opened the doors for registration for her Course Confident Bootcamp. And I'm actually offering a special bonus for anyone that registers for the Course Confident Bootcamp through my special link. So I want you to go to krystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register. That's krystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And what you're going to find when you get there is I have this special bonus private podcast series. It's called Money Mindset for Creators. So I want you to go register for Amy's bootcamp, download the podcast, and immediately start listening to it, because what this training is set up to do is to help you get your mind right about monetizing your content, making money so that you can fuel your content creation dreams. So go to krystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register for Course Confident. And I cannot wait for you to find your friends and find the people that will be there for you. Do you see what I did there? Yeah, nice little friends segue connection. Go to krystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And I cannot wait to see you inside. Okay, let's get into today's episode. Okay, we are going to go old school today. Yes, we are going to go back to the elementary school days of the scientific method. Okay, bear with me. Okay, if you're like, I don't know that I want to get into a science lesson here today, just bear with me for a second, because I promise you are going to learn some really cool stuff in today's episode. So what exactly is the scientific method? If you don't remember, right, because hopefully everybody learned at least the very basics of the scientific method whenever they were in school, but I'm going to restate it here for you. So you ask a question, you do some basic research, then you construct a hypothesis. Like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, how's this going to work? How's this going to go down? Then you actually test with an experiment of some sort. Then you analyze what actually happens, and then you kind of draw a conclusion of, was my hypothesis true, or was it false? Was it partially true? And then you report what actually happened. Did y'all do that? Like, we had to do it. I'm trying to remember if it was in 5th grade or 6th grade, where you set up the little trifold board. I have no idea what I did mine on. I'm pretty sure I picked the easiest topic that I could think of and was like, this is why the clouds form the different ways that they do. And I did something super simple. Okay. I wasn't the one that was going above and beyond building the volcanoes that erupted and doing all the extra things. But why are we talking about the scientific method here, Krystal? What does this actually have to do with podcasting? Well, I was told recently that Instagram Reels is where it's at. And I want to throw out the disclaimer that I am by no means a social media expert. Okay, you should know this by now. I don't tiptoe into the arena of saying, oh, I'm going to be your social media guru and tell you all the things about Instagram. However, I did do some experimenting recently, and it warrants its own podcast episode for me to talk about it. So that is exactly what we're going to do today. I'm going to tell you all the things about my little experiment. So let's get right to it. Welcome to the Profit Podcast, where we teach entrepreneurs how to start, launch, and market their podcast. I'm your host, Krystal Profit, and I'm so excited that you're here. Thanks for hanging out with me today, because if you've been trying to figure out the world of podcasting, think of this show as the time-saving shortcut you've been looking for. So let's get right to it, shall we? So if you follow me on Instagram, you know I don't have tens of thousands of followers, and I'm okay with that, by the way, because my business does just fine with the amount of people that I have in my podcast audience and the amount of people on my email list. Like, those are the metrics that I watch like a hawk on a regular basis. I always know how many podcast listeners I have and how many people are on my email list. Instagram's been one of those things where I'm like, hey, it'd be cool, if I got more people on there, if I had a bigger audience, but it's not something that I've been strategically chasing down. Can I get more followers? How do I get in front of more people? But recently I watched a lot of really cool conversations about Instagram Reels. And now let's just be real, right? Let's be real about the Reels. It's basically TikTok for people that don't want to be on TikTok, or you feel out of place on TikTok. You're like, I'm too old. There's a bunch of 16-year-olds running around doing all these dances. Ain't nobody got time for that. I don't want to do all that. That's basically what it is. Because I was on TikTok for a hot minute last year, the year before that. I don't remember. I basically posted pictures of my kids dancing again because it felt really old and awkward there. But I did kind of play around and experiment with how could I use this social media platform in my business? Then Instagram Reels came out and I was like, okay, this doesn't feel like I'm trying to build a whole new platform. It just feels like, hey, I'm already on Instagram. I'm already doing stories. I'm already posting videos. I'm doing IGTV. Why don't I play around with these Reels? But I didn't really get serious about it. I don't even remember when Reels actually released, for everybody. And actually, I have a few friends. Shout out Heather Sager. She's been very upset because she still doesn't have Reels for whatever reason. She's told me so many times. She's like, I don't get why Instagram is torturing me and not giving me access to Reels, but she still doesn't have them. So I know that there's people out there that you still can't even access these things, and I don't understand why. Like I said, I'm not the social media expert. I can only tell you about the experiments that I've done and the reasons why I've done them. So I wanted to get more serious about trying things out this year, right? Different kinds of experiments, different kinds of posts, seeing which ones you are responding to. And I'm going to say you, my audience. I want to know what you're responding to whenever I post. Are you, putting more comments on videos? Do you like to see whenever it's me showing you behind the scenes videos? So I'm really been being more observant. This is my scientific hat on now. It's I want to observe what is actually happening on my social media because I want to get better. I do want to get better. I want to make the most engaging content that I can to where people get excited. They're like, hey, I'm on Instagram. What's Krystal been up to? I'm going to go check out her profile and see what's actually happening over there. So that was my intention in January. And I really didn't get around to playing around more on Instagram till I think the last 3 weeks is whenever I said, okay, everybody's been talking about these Reels. I've done one or two here and there. I'm going to try to do one a day for a month. There's a bunch of people that were putting out this challenge, do one a day for a month and here are my results. I was actually seeing people creating Reels saying, oh, I created a Reel every day for 2 weeks or for 30 days. And they were telling about their results. And I was like, okay, I need to figure out what this is all about because obviously it's working for other people. So I'm going to share with you my results of doing Reels just over the last 2 weeks. Okay. I'm not going to do it a month at a time. I'm just going to tell you the last 2 weeks because this is where things have gotten really interesting. And then I want to share with you some of the ways that you can consider doing Reels for your podcast. I'm going to share with you some of the ideas of what I've done. So if you're not following me, go to Krystal Profit TX on Instagram and come follow me. Come hang out there. It's where I always share behind the scenes stuff on Instagram stories. I like posting different kinds of ridiculous things that you just will not see anywhere else. I really do. I like that I can post things and then they go away and I'm just like, whatever. I looked like a hot mess and I did not care because I knew that it was going to be gone in 24 hours. I knew that I could create a short, 1-minute clip and it would just be gone. I don't have to sit there and worry oh my gosh, I just worked out and I look like crap and I don't have any makeup on, all the things. I don't even worry about that because I'm literally recording it and it's gone in 24 hours. So that is the beauty behind Instagram stories. But let's go back to Reels. So this is what I need you to do. Get out your phone, get on Instagram, and a little more of the background of my actual account. I have a business account. Some of you have a personal account and then you just post your podcast stuff there. I do have a business account and it's where I just kind of mesh everything together. There's no real separation between church and state. My personal stuff and my business, I just post it all on one account because it's what works for me and it's what I'm comfortable doing. But I know some people will say, oh, you need 2 separate accounts or you need this, you need that. I'm just telling you what I've done and what I choose to do with everything that I'm doing on my account. So tell me if this is helpful. Send me a DM and be okay, it's really helpful to know what you do because I've wondered if that's what I should do for my account. So go find me on Instagram, get your phone, find me on Instagram, send me a DM, say, this was helpful to know these things, or just tell me your favorite part about this episode whenever we're done. Okay, let's connect on Instagram because it's definitely been my favorite app as of the last few weeks. Okay, so whenever I'm in my account, I actually have my phone pulled up right now.
Being a woman in business comes with its own unique set of challenges, but also so many opportunities. We get ahead by leaning in to what makes us different from business as usual. I'm Samantha Hartley, host of Profitable Joyful Consulting, inviting you to a special 6-episode series exploring the experience of being a woman in business. You want to hear from women consultants who've hit $1 million, who sell 6-figure engagements, or who've broken their own revenue ceilings? Yeah, those are my clients, and they'll be sharing too. Join me for 6 must-listen episodes that tackle key challenges for women consultants. Follow Profitable Joyful Consulting on your favorite podcast app.
I have what is called, it says at the very top, it's it has my name, and then it says View Professional Dashboard. This is new to my knowledge, right? I just didn't notice it before, or it was something that they recently released with, I don't know if it was a new update, but it hasn't always been there. So if you've gone to your account and you're oh wait, I don't even know what that is, it is in the last few weeks, maybe the last few months, but I know it hasn't always been on my account, and I don't know if you can get to it on your desktop. We're just walking through this together, okay? I'm not going to act like I have this all polished and perfect, because maybe you can get to this on your desktop. I'm on my phone. So View Professional Dashboard, and when I go in here, this is where it gets real juicy. Real juicy. Okay. So in the last 30 days, this is what it's giving me. I don't know. I think I can either do the last 30 days or the last 7 days. The last 30 days would be more helpful. So it says I have increased my reach by 252% compared to the last 2 weeks of January and the first 2 weeks of February. Y'all, in the last 30 days, did you hear that? 252%. My reach has increased. Okay, so this goes back to the scientific method, right? It's ask a question. What is the question? The question for me was, are Instagram Reels worth it? Right? Because it's not something that you can sit down and do as quick as a story, right? Maybe you have to have a little bit of creativity behind it. You want to pick out a good song, or you want to pick out a topic, or there's a little bit of thought that goes into it. It's not something that I can whip out in a minute and just be done with it. So then do your background research. What's my background research? Is me wondering, well, what should I do? How often should I publish? Like, what's actually going to happen? And then constructing a hypothesis. My hypothesis for this scientific experiment was I believe I was going to reach more accounts, but I didn't know how many. So it wasn't a super solid hypothesis, but it was, nonetheless thinking I'm probably going to get more reach on my account by doing this. Okay. And then testing with an experiment, right? Like this is the next part of the method is you got to do some testing. Well, I tried a bunch of different reels and I can see with my audience which ones perform better and which ones were getting a more organic, almost like a viral kind of reach to them. And we'll talk about that in a second, okay? Because I do think that is important. And another thing that I have seen some Instagram experts talking about is that there's not a lot of really good insights on Reels other than when you go to your main profile and you see, at the top, you'll have like your main feed, then you have your IGTV, and then you have your Reels, and you have like all the stuff that you're tagged in. When you click on your Reels from there, you can actually see how many people have viewed it, how many people like were actually shown your Reels. And so that is what we're talking about whenever we say that the reach has been increased by 252%. I know that that's what it's from. And maybe I'll have to take a picture. Actually, here, I'm going to do a screenshot and I'll share it in the show notes because I'm just like, oh my gosh, like it's so much. And it's in a very short amount of time. It was in a short amount of time. Like it's not like from, I think it's starting on like February 19th to March 20th of 2021. And there's 3 really big spikes. And that's where the 252% is coming in because that's when I started posting Reels on almost a daily basis. I don't want to say I did one every single day for 2 weeks, but I probably did several. I'll have the exact number here in a second, but I'm going to click on see all insights. And yeah, it's saying that I had a whole bunch of new followers, not a ton, but like it wasn't a dramatic increase for, from like 1,000 followers to 2,000 followers. But I did see a little bump in followers. But what was more important to me was reaching more people because that gives me an opportunity to have a strategic calls to action where they would follow me. I didn't do that, y'all. Like going back, like let's, re-hypothesize what would actually happen if I go back and do a strategic call to action, whether it's follow me on Instagram or go listen to the podcast or go watch a recent IGTV, whatever. I didn't have super strategic calls to action. I was just figuring out how to create Reels, to be honest, because I knew how to do it from TikTok because it's very similar, but I still didn't know what I was doing. So if you've seen any of my IG Reels and you're like, oh, there's Krystal over there. She's rocking it on Reels. She knows what she's doing. Nope. No. I'm literally just experimenting. I'm testing things out. I'm being silly and then I'm being serious and then I'm teaching in some and then I'm being just very raw and sharing behind the scenes and other ones. So I am just testing things right now to see what will work for me. Okay, so now I want to go back to my profile and I'm going to go into my Reels. And y'all, this is where it gets super crazy. So like I said, I can look at on my Reels, whenever I click on it, when I'm on my profile, there's a little number in the bottom left-hand corner. And that means that is how many people have viewed your reel. Now, the question I have, and this is where the social media experts are like, we need more data. We need more insights because I don't know if that means that one person watched my reel multiple times and every time, because, I'm sure if you've watched Instagram reels, like sometimes they go by so fast and you're like, wait, what? And then you'll watch it a second time and you're like, oh, okay. Like now I get what they were talking about. So I don't know if that means one person viewed it 7 times or one person viewed it and like that counted as 1, or if them watching it 7 times counted as 7. I don't know. This is just the information that I have in front of me. But I am looking at my very most popular reel, and I'm going to count these real fast. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Oh, I clicked on one, 25, 26, 27. I think I have around 28. I might have miscounted, but I have around 28 reels. So like I said, I have not been doing this for super, super long. So I don't want you to say, oh my gosh, you've been doing that. No. I don't have that many. But I can tell you right now, one of my reels has over 5,388 views as of me recording this. Y'all, this is about my toddler asking for snacks, asking for goldfish again. Okay? That reel reached so many more people than the ones where I'm teaching. But what was really interesting, there was a video that I posted that was all about what it was like whenever I first got started with live streams. And then I posted a more recent clip from a video that I did. Like it was basically a before and after transformation type thing. Like the first video was very fuzzy and the sound quality was terrible. And then the next one was a recent clip from a YouTube video I did. So it was like a night and day transformation, but it was all about encouragement and motivation. Y'all, I reached more than 1,113 people with that reel. Y'all, that is so similar, similarly aligned to what I'm trying to do on social media. It's not all about converting someone into a customer. Like I'm not saying, buy my course, sign up for a membership, buy the toolkit. Like I'm not doing that on my Instagram. I'm trying to build awareness for what my brand is all about. And my brand is all about feeling confident behind the microphone, showing up online, even when you're a little scared, even when you're just like, I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know that this is the message that I want to share. I don't know that I have everything figured out. I still want you to show up. And I want to show you that I am doing the exact same thing with you. I'm not just telling you, you need to do this, you need to do this, and then I'm not backing it up. So this is the reason why this particular reel, I'm so damn proud of it. I'm so proud of it because it got that message across. Now, don't get me wrong. I have tons of other ones on here that I experimented with that I thought was really good. To be honest, I was like, oh my gosh, this one's really good. It only reached 339 people. But I had lots of comments. I had likes on there. And I feel like the right people who needed to see that message, they received it. They saw it. And that is what matters to me. But I wanted to just show you this because some of these are the most ridiculous things, but they kind of took off. I did one about Jim Gaffigan when I first got on IG Reels. If you don't know this about me, Jim Gaffigan is my absolute favorite comedian. Like I have watched all of his specials. I've read all of his books. Oh my gosh. Like his audiobooks are just hilarious. If you like Jim Gaffigan, he's I don't want to say self-proclaimed because I think he hates it, but he's like the clean comedian, right? He doesn't have to get up on stage and tell raunchy jokes about, just gross stuff, or he doesn't do a lot of cussing. Like he is just so funny, so witty. And I did kind of like an imitation of one of his comedy routines. And I did it on there and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but it was fun. It was really fun for me. I like things to be fun. I like things to be silly because it allows me to show my personality. That one got 1,200 views. And I think that's not really aligned with my brand. Yeah, it was fun. Again, it was fun. It was silly. Like that part is aligned with showing of like more my personality. It's more of a trust builder or, someone coming into my audience. Like no one learned anything about podcasting in that reel. Okay, let's just be honest. No one learned anything. They just learned Krystal's a goofball. Maybe I could hang out with this chick because she makes fun of herself. Okay, maybe. But I want to go back to some ideas that you could have for your podcast in creating reels. So the first thing, and by the way, like I said, these are some of the insights I wanted to share with you. Like, let's kind of wrap this up. So calls to action, that's something I have to get better about. Like, this is me telling you to hold me accountable. I want to get better about my calls to action in my reels. And I want to make sure that what I'm creating is aligned with my brand. Even if it's funny, even if it's silly, even if it's just the most random things, I always want to be on brand with authenticity and showing my true personality. Like, you will not see me post anything on there that doesn't align with who I am, because that's just not what I'm about. But I do think that experimenting and continuing to try new things it's just where it's at. And y'all, the reach on these are so incredible that you bet your butt I'm going to keep doing them. Even like until I figure them out, I'm going to keep doing reels, because I am reaching more accounts, more people, and those are just that many more messages that I can help people, encourage them to create a podcast, encourage them to get behind the mic, and encourage them to share their important message that they have. So that kind of wraps up the actual data and analytics behind the IG reels that I did. But I wanted to share with you 3 ideas for you to get started with this, okay? Because you're like, I just don't want to jump in. I don't know if I can do it. So first and foremost, find some fun music, or find like just something that you're like, this would like kind of get me out of my comfort zone, but it's still quirky to my personality, or it would still be fun. And I recommend Jasmine Star as like the go-to Instagram expert. Like, she's actually the person I listened to. She was on Amy Porterfield's podcast, and I'll link to it in the show notes. But she was on Amy Porterfield's podcast, and they were talking about IG Reels, and they did like a whole like walkthrough of this is how it works, and this is what you need to do, and here are some ideas. So that's the first thing I want you to do is I want you to go look up Jasmine Star, find something that will make you feel comfortable, find one of her ideas, and run with it. Go watch her. Oh my gosh, y'all. She did one recently with her husband that I died laughing. I watched it a few times because it was so funny. Oh my gosh. He was imitating her like before she was going live, and just do like it was so dang funny. So go check out Jasmine Star. Go listen to that podcast with her and Amy Porterfield, because it was gold. It was golden. It's where I learned all the things that I learned about IG Reels. And it's kind of how I ripped the Band-Aid off and just said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to figure it out. And we're just going to start experimenting, because Jasmine told me I needed to start doing this. So I'm going to start doing this. So find something that will get you out of your comfort zone and help you just take that first step. So that's number 1. Number 2, I want you to share some behind the scenes. So these perform pretty well for me within my audience. They don't necessarily have that larger, I'm making up words now, larger organic reach as some of the other more general, like silly things do. But it's very specific to my audience, where I know that the people that need to hear those messages or see the behind the scenes, like they get it, they see it, and that makes me happy. Okay, so first one, get out of your comfort zone, rip the Band-Aid off. 2, share some behind the scenes. And 3, I want you to teach something. Teach something, like maybe it's your process of how you work with your clients. Maybe it's how you create your podcast every week. Maybe it is something that you teach every single person that comes into your world. Whatever it is, teach something within an Instagram reel. And I don't know how long, like if there's going to be updates or what's going to happen, but right now, as of me recording this, an Instagram reel is anywhere from 15 seconds to 30 seconds. So y'all, I'm not asking you to stand up on a stage and talk for 30 minutes. I'm asking for 15 to 30 seconds and just to try it, like commit to doing it for 7 days. I'm not asking for a whole month. I'm not asking for 3 weeks. I'm talking about 7 days. Do one Instagram reel for 7 days. And then I want you to send me a DM and say, this is what happened. This is what happened. This is what is going on. And I actually have an Instagram expert coming on the podcast soon, and I want to be able to share that, hey, we tried this out within our audience, and here are some of our results. Share them in our Facebook group. Share them, like send them to me in the DMs on Instagram, but I really want to know how this works for you, because is this just me? Like, I know it can't just be me that I grew my reach by 252%, in less than 30 days by just posting these reels. I know it's not me. So I want you to try, I want you to experiment. So here's your calls to action, right? Go back and find something to get you out of the comfort zone, right? Number one, go listen to that podcast with Jasmine Star. That's like a 1A, 1B, like do that, do both of those. Number two is I want you to share something behind the scenes. This is your number two. This is your second reel that you're going to create in the 7 days. Create something that's behind the scenes. And number three, I want you to teach something. It could be something so basic and you're like, Krystal, that's not even worth it. Yes, it is. Y'all, I shared what I do every Sunday to prepare for the week. I literally showed my planner. I showed my Google Calendar, and that was about it. But like, oh, maybe somebody will find this interesting. And I got a lot of likes. I got a lot of comments on those posts. So experiment, try new things, and make it happen. That's what we're doing here, right? Like we are here to see what will work for our audiences. And the only way you can do that is by applying the scientific method. Like, not to get all nerdy on you, but it's what I do every week here with this podcast, right? I ask questions, I do some research, I see, will this work? Will this won't work? And then I test, I experiment, I look at the results. Was my hypothesis true? Was it not? What should I change? And I report everything. I know this sounds super nerdy, super dorky, but it's what I do. If you want to know how I run my business, how I run my podcast, I'm constantly experimenting. Even doing this episode today, y'all, this is like me stepping out of my comfort zone. I never talk about Instagram directly. I never talk about one social media platform all by myself, right? Like I usually have an expert with me where I can catch and pitch and we can go back and forth and I can ask them questions and I'm learning in the process. But I like sharing the behind the scenes of my journey because y'all have told me this is what helps you. I have heard from so many people that you love hearing the behind the scenes of what I'm doing in my business, what's working and what's not working. So that is why I'm sharing this here with you today. So for all the things that we talked about, go to the show notes, krystalprofit.com/episode 239. Go check out all the things. Go find that Instagram Reels podcast with Amy Porterfield and Jasmine Star. I'm telling you, if you just feel so lost and you're like, I don't even know where to start, go listen to that. Like, go listen to that as soon as you're done with this. Like, cue it up in your podcast player and just have it ready to go because that episode is so good. It is so, so good. So, krystalprofit.com/episode 239. But that's all I have for y'all today. So, make sure and hit subscribe. If you have not already, you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you've just been searching for it every week, go hit that subscribe button. What are you waiting for? And while you're at it, I would love for you to leave us a rating and a review. If you have been listening, okay, I'm going to call y'all out. I'm going to call some of y'all out right now because there are many of you that have been listening to this podcast and you have never left a rating and a review. That hurts my heart. It hurts like I'm personally offended by this, y'all. Not really, but kind of. I would love for you to leave a rating and a review for this show because it really does help us get out in front of more people. It helps show the world that we are delivering some of the best podcast content that there is out there. And I want to reach more people and give them more confidence to share their message. But that's all I have for y'all today. Have a fantastic week. Like, I'm just fired up about this. I'm super excited. I think that Instagram Reels is just really fun and I want you to play around with it and I want to see what you create. Like, tag me in it. If you're like sharing it on stories and you're like, oh, my podcast coach told me to do this, tag me in it. I would love to share it across my platform as well. So share your reel, tag me in it. I would love to share it. Again, one last time, krystalprofit.com/episode 239. And as always, remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere. Hey, Profit Podcast listeners. Thanks for sticking around to a little bit after the episode to hear this special message because I want to hear from you. We are starting a new segment called fan mail shout outs, and I want to hear from you, and I want to hear your questions. What do you want to know? What questions have you been dying to ask me? So here's how to make this happen. Go to the app where you're listening to this podcast right now. Go there. I'll wait a second. Okay. Now, once you're there, you're going to see a hyperlink at the top of the episode description that says, send Krystal a text message. And that's all I want you to do. Send me a text. It could be casual, informal. It could be totally anonymous. Or if you want, you can include your name and the name of your podcast or content wherever you are creating, and I will give you a special shout out in an upcoming episode. So again, go to the show notes for where you're listening to this episode right now, and it will say, send Krystal a text message. And I cannot wait to hear from you and give you a shout out in an upcoming segment of fan mail shout outs.